Okay, thanks for joining me this evening. Again, let me know where you're from in the world in the chat box. I'd like to know what time zone you're on. So I'm in the UK, on the south coast of England, between two cities, Southampton and Portsmouth, right in the middle, so right on the coast. My name's Hannah, and I am a multi-dimensional entrepreneur, and I have been running my own businesses for the last decade. And I started my first business when it was actually by accident almost. I was made redundant from my job as airline crew, and I had to quickly adapt. And I actually had never planned to have my own business. I was working as cabin crew for 10 years almost, and I was actually training to become a pilot at the time. And everything just suddenly changed and I had to adapt. So I started my first business, which was in the beauty industry. I became a beauty therapist and I set up my own salon. And I was still training as a pilot at the time, but what happened is I began to, I'm just going to let someone else into the waiting room, sorry. So I basically started to get a taste of working for myself. So if you work for yourself, you'll know what that's like. It's hard to go back to working for someone else after you've started your own business and you're basically your own boss, yeah? So that was all new to me. I'd never run a business before. It was all kind of new territory. And I made a lot of mistakes. I learned from those mistakes, and I then went on to set up a business in the fitness industry. I qualified as a fitness instructor, and I actually, again, accidentally became a professional hula hooper, which is very random, which is now hence the name of my coaching business, Jumping Through Hoops. So there is a story behind that. And I grew my fitness business GlobeFit into a global franchise where I offered instructor training globally to fitness instructors and dance teachers. And then I accidentally again fell into the coaching and the mentoring because I found that I had a knack for getting myself into the media, okay, so to speak. I found that I had a real knack for PR. And not just for myself, I was able to also help other people get into the media. I helped people find their story. And I realized that's where my purpose basically laid. Okay. So I trained in PR and marketing, and then I set up my Jumping Through Hoops coaching business. So here I am today, and this is what I'm talking to you all about, which is how to get into the media. Okay, so if you've just joined me, please do pop in the chat box where you're from and what you do, because I would love to know. But you should see on the screen now, I'm sharing my screen with you. So I'm just going to take you through some of the steps of this workshop. And then what we'll do at the end is we'll have a questions and answers, which you can either switch your camera on and I'll unmute you, or you can just ask anything in the chat box. Okay, so I've just given you a little introduction to who I am already, okay? So I've been in business for the last decade now, as I said, accidentally, but I would never go back. As you know, if you're your own boss, you probably know how that feels. It's hard to go back once you've got a taster of working for yourself. I also have my own podcast show, so check it out if you haven't listened already. It's called Jumping Through Hoops with Hannah, and I talk about all sorts of topics on there, mostly to do with business, but also mindset and manifesting as well, which is one of my favorite subjects to speak about. I've spoken on international stages across the globe. And as I mentioned before, I'm a professional hula hooper, which is very random, I know. And I'm qualified in PR, and I'm now a mindset and marketing coach. Okay, so let's get to it. So why establish yourself as the expert? Okay, so by doing this, you are getting people to know more about who you are. Okay, this is the way you're going to get yourself known. Now, okay, someone's in the chat. Let me have a look. Sorry. So you'll basically, by getting yourself known as the expert, you will gain the love and trust of your audience. Okay, they're going to get to know who you are by raising your platform here. Okay, you will be at the forefront of people's minds when they want a product or service that you offer. Okay, so this is what happens. If someone's read about you in the newspaper or in a magazine, or they've heard about you on radio, they might not automatically buy there and then, but later, when perhaps they're thinking, oh, I don't know, perhaps you're a hairdresser and you offer, something, and they've heard you on the local radio. Oh, I heard so-and-so on the radio the other day. I'm going to give them a call. Okay. So you'll be at the forefront of their mind. You will also gain credibility, and the opportunities that will come knocking for you will just, there's things that you probably never even imagined. Okay. So I'm just going to use some examples of how I have used the media to leverage myself. Okay. So when I first started in my first business, which was in the beauty industry, I wasn't that experienced. Okay. I just trained, I'd newly trained, I set up my salon, and a year later, I basically reached out to the media. In the UK, there's a publication called the Hairdressers Journal. Now, a lot of people would probably be thinking, okay, I'm not experienced enough. I can't reach out and offer my expertise. I've only been doing this for a year. Now, if you think that way, then you're never going to really move forwards. Okay. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing something. If you know your stuff, you know your stuff. So I reached out to the Hairdressers Journal and offered my expertise on beauty, okay, on makeup, eyebrows, eyelashes, nails, all of that jazz. And I suppose at the time I was, as I say, I'd only been doing it a year, and I didn't know if they'd get back to me. I thought maybe they'd think, no. But actually, they got back to me and they're like, yeah, we'll have your tips in our magazine. I mean, this is like a national publication. It goes out to every salon in the country. And from that, I gained a lot of confidence. And I realized, actually, all you really need to do is actually reach out to someone. And the worst they can say is no. Yeah. If they say no, they say no. But they'll say, yeah, if you keep trying enough times and you try enough publications and you offer your services. So that's how I started with gaining the leverage of the media. Okay. I'm just going to read some of your chats. Hello, Hannah, from the same place as you, but we're in half-term listening while. Oh, Rachel, hello. Yeah. Terry Trapp in New Jersey, hello. You run a financial firm and agency, been running it for 13 years, for looking for fresh ideas to put your expansion into motion. Perfect. Okay, I'm just letting someone else into the waiting room. Ask away in the chat if there's anything you want to ask me so I can answer as we go. And if you've just joined, let me know whereabouts in the world you're joining me from. Okay, so we're talking about why establishing yourself as an expert in your field is going to gain you that trust. Okay, it's going to gain you that love from your soulmate client, from your audience, your ideal audience. Okay, and it's going to put you at the forefront of people's minds. And if you can manage to basically gain coverage in the media, then what you can also do is you can big that up everywhere. Okay, so you'll notice on my website, I have put on my homepage as featured in all the publications I've now been featured in. And that's going to set you apart from anyone else that's doing the same thing as you. Because if someone visits your website and then they visit another website that hasn't featured in these publications, chances are they're going to go for you. Okay, because they're just going to see that, and to them, in their mind, you're going to be more credible. Okay, so this is why featuring in the media is honestly going to help you so much. Okay, I'm just going to read in the chat again. Someone from the Channel Islands in Jersey. Hello, Sarah. I used to live in Jersey. Lovely place. Okay, so let me know what businesses you guys have. Okay, I'd really like to know, because might be something similar to what I've done in the past, so I might be able to share some tips with you. I'm just reading the chat again. It is lovely, yeah. I've spent a lot of time in Jersey, Guernsey and Alderney as well, actually. Love the Channel Islands. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about opportunity as well. So some examples of my life, which basically being in the media has brought me. Now, I featured, this is with my fitness business, GlobeFit, I featured in a publication talking about hula hooping. And somebody actually saw that, and it wasn't a client. They didn't want to buy hula hoops. They didn't want to buy any classes, but it was someone had a museum in Kuwait of all places. Okay. And they reached out to me and said, okay, we're putting together a video for the museum, and we want someone demonstrating hula hooping. basically to go on the screen. So people come into the museum, they pick up a hula hoop, and you're on the screen and you're going to teach people how to hula hoop. Okay, it's very random, something I wouldn't have planned, something that I would never have thought of. So you can see where opportunities come knocking by putting yourself out there. Okay, and it's having that confidence. As I said, when I reached out to the Hairdressers Journal, the first ever publication that I was featured in, it's having that confidence to not know whether they're going to say no or they're going to say yes. Okay, but putting yourself out there, because the worst they can do is say no. Okay, and then all you're then going to do is try again. Okay, so this is why it's so important. Okay, we're just going to go down. Okay, now your story is going to help you come up with ideas of how to pitch yourself to the media. Okay, it's all very well saying, yeah, you're going to reach out to these publications, but you have to reach out with a story. Okay, you can't just reach out and say, this is what I do, this is my business, because what they're going to do then is just send you straight to the advertising team and ask you to pay for an advert. Okay, so if you have a good story and you have good content, be it for magazines, newspapers, TV, radio, podcast shows, okay, most people are going to snap your hand off for that content, okay, because obviously it's going to sell their publications. Okay, just read the chat box and then I will talk more about the story. Okay. Rachel says, going to broaden horizons in 2021 to help people in a deeper root cause way with lifestyle medicine and health coaching, as well as the GP day job. I love it. Didn't know that, Rachel. Interesting. Amazing. Okay, so story is going to ultimately sell you. So this is what we need to do. We need to think about our stories and not just what you're currently doing. Think about what you have done in your life, okay? Go back as far as you can remember and think of everything that you have done that has led you to today, to where you are in your business. Now, we all have a book within us, yeah? Chances are we could all write a book tomorrow, okay? It would take a bit longer than a day, but we all have a book, we all have a story, okay? And your story is your best marketing tool at the end of the day. And also, once you can get to know and own your own story, it's going to help you with your social media content, copy for your website, as well as obviously gaining those media opportunities. Okay, so a lot of people do shy away from sharing their story. Now, you don't have to share everything that's happened in your life. You don't have to share too much personal stuff, okay, if that doesn't feel right to you to share it. But what you probably do need to do it as a business owner, if you want to be seen and you want to be visible, then you do need to allow people into snippets of your life, okay? Because obviously people buy from people, okay? So people want to know more about you. And when they get to know more about you, obviously that goes back to the know, love and trust part, okay? People buy from people, okay? And they want to know that you're human. Okay, so this is how your story is going to help. But obviously only share what you're happy to share, but go back and see what you can use that's happened in your life to pitch yourself to the media. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on, about where to find these opportunities and basically how to use your story. Okay, so let's find our stories first. So obviously get out your own way first. Okay, if you've got a bit of a block at the moment with sharing your story, then it might not be time for you to do it yet. You need to be ready to basically put yourself out there and ready to make an impact and ready to share your message. Okay, you really have to want to do it. If you don't, then chances are when the media say to you, yeah, okay, let's have your story, okay, we want to know more about you, and then you suddenly tense up or you get scared of sharing that story and you don't feel comfortable, then you're not ready to do it. So to make sure that you're ready to do it first, okay? So it's probably going to help you, this following exercise, to know what you're ready to share, what you're willing to share, what you want to share, okay? Basically, your vision needs to be bigger than your fear if you want to rise into the business owner and leader that you're born to be, okay? So you need to show up and stretch yourself, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. There's no two ways about it. It's going to feel flipping uncomfortable, okay? So I'm just going to ask whoever's just joined, hello, can you mute your microphone? Is that all right, guys? Just make sure you've muted your microphone and introduce yourself in the chat box. Let me know where you're from if you've just joined, okay? So it's going to feel uncomfortable. But having a business and being a business owner and putting yourself out there anyway is always discomfort. There's always discomfort, whatever you do in life, to be quite honest. Okay. So just basically get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I'm just going to read the chat before I move on and ask any questions now. Okay. If there's anything you want to ask me, I'm just going to check the chat box. Again, let me know if you've just joined, where you've joined from. Okay, let's move on then. Ask any questions that you've got, guys. Make sure you're asking in a way. Okay, so this is an exercise I'd like you to have a go at. Now, obviously not now while we're on the call, but try this exercise. Okay, as I said, each chapter of your life will tell a different story. Okay, but obviously each chapter has ultimately led you to today where you are with your business. Okay, and actually it's very interesting, this exercise, because when you look back and you see everything that you've done has actually led you to this moment that you're in today. Okay, and it's I'd say it's quite an awakening moment once you read back everything that you've done, because a lot of people say, I haven't got a story, I don't know, I haven't got anything interesting to share, but actually you have. And you'll see by doing this exercise that whoever you are, whatever you've done, wherever you've been in life, you have a story to tell. Okay, and it's an interesting story. We've all got an interesting story. So this is the exercise. You're going to write out your chapters. So you're going to start with your chapter 1. And I would say have 10 chapters. Okay, so make notes here, guys. If you've got a pen and paper with you, make a note. Obviously, you don't do this exercise now. Go away and do it after the call. But if you can write down 10 chapters, you might not have 10. You might have more than 10. Some of us have got too many. Okay, so 10 chapters, I would say, as an average. Now, go back to your earliest memories. It can be, when you're a kid, when you're a child, because it's all relevant, because everything has led you up to today. So if you just read through here on the screen share what I'm asking you to do, okay, is just so that you can understand it and you can do it correctly. So as I say, think of your earliest memories right up to today and think of where you currently are in your life and your business. As I say, this is a really powerful exercise because it's going to help you see how far you've actually come. And it's going to help you get really clear on your story, as I say, which is going to ultimately sell you and your services and what you do. Okay, so make a note. Let me know that you have made a note there of that, because this is really, really powerful and really important to do, because before you pitch to the media, obviously you need to know your story. Okay, and I should say, when you pitch into the media, as I said before, if you've just joined and you haven't heard this, you're not always going to just pitch to the media with your current business and what you do now, because a lot of the times what they'll do is they'll send you away to the advertising team. Okay, which is why if you've got a relevant story, something you've done in your life that you can use as a hook, okay, then as I say, they're going to bite your hand off for it, and they're going to mention you, and they're going to probably mention your current business as well. Okay, and this is all about you and sharing you, because actually you are your business. Okay, ultimately you are your business. So do this exercise, and you can always join me in my Facebook group, my free Facebook group, and let me know if you've done this exercise. I will send everyone a link to the Facebook group after the call, because I'd really like to know how everyone gets on with trying this. It's very powerful, as I said. Okay, so an average of 10 chapters, and write them down from your earliest memory to your current day, today, and write down everything you can think of, everything that you can remember, any pivotal moments in your life. Okay, anything, like the jobs you've done, the relationships you've had, even, okay, the people you've met, the things you've done, the places you've traveled to, if you've had children, if you've, whatever it might be, it's going to all be relevant, and you'll see how the jigsaw is going to fit together in a minute. Okay, so just moving on, let me know in the chat box if you've got any questions about that exercise. Let me know if you've all managed to write that down. Okay, so you can go away and do that exercise after the call. Everyone written that down, hopefully. Okay, let me know in the chat box. Okay, so telling your story using 5 methods of communication. Now, this is going to help you as well when you're pitching to the media, but not just when you're pitching to the media. This is also going to help you come up with content ideas for social media posts as well, okay? Because obviously social media is just as relevant as traditional media as well, because obviously it's free. Okay, and this is a way that you're going to really raise your visibility and establish yourself as an expert. So 5 methods of communication here. We've got number 1, behind the scenes. Now what I would say is pick your platforms that you are going to be visible on social media. So for example, I will use mainly Facebook, Instagram. Lately I've been using YouTube a bit more as well. I was using TikTok a lot over the summer. I might go back to that a little bit more, but for me, my main 2, to be honest, are Facebook and Instagram. So pick a couple of platforms to be most visible on. I would say you probably should ideally have a presence on all platforms, even if you're just repurposing and sharing your content across all of them, but have, as I say, 2 to 3 that you're going to be on consistently. And I say consistently as in every other day at least, okay? Every day if possible, even if it's just a short post or a short video to say hi. Because obviously the more you're there, okay, the more you show up, the more people are going to find out about you. So it's the way to go. Okay, so behind the scenes, number 1, this basically means sharing little snippets of what you're doing in your daily life. So for me, I use Instagram stories as one of my main platforms. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll probably share every day to Instagram stories around 5 minutes of content. Now, that's not very much, really. That's if you think it 24 hours in a day and I share 5 minutes of my life. So it's not a whole lot that I'm really sharing with people. People aren't really getting to see all the personal side of my life. Obviously, if you want to do that, then that's fine. And if it's relevant to your business as well, then fine, go for it. But I will perhaps share things like what I'm currently working on. For example, if I'm creating a new program, I will share a little snippet on Instagram stories of me creating my program. I might share a little bit about my family life. I'm a mum of 3, so I share like the chaos that goes on at home sometimes with my children. I'll share posts of me out with my family sometimes, just so people can get to know about me as well. Because actually, if you're just sharing things all the time about your business, obviously people can switch off to that. Okay. And what I also suggest that you do is you don't always post sales posts. Okay, they say 1 in 5 posts should be a sales post. Everything else should be something that's offering some kind of value to people, something of interest. Okay, and then naturally people are going to come and buy from you anyway. Okay, but don't be salesy too much. And that's obviously the same when you're pitching to the media, because again, they're going to send you to the advertising team. Okay, so think about these methods of communication here. As I say, behind the scenes is just sharing a small insight of your life so that people can get to know you. And that's going back to that human touch, and that the people knowing that you're real and you're authentic. And that's what sells. Authenticity sells. Okay, so this is, be brave. If you're not used to sharing videos, I suggest having a little practice first. Go for a little practice run, and you don't have to do them live either, by the way. Obviously going live has amazing benefits to it, but if you're not prepared to go live and you're not ready to go live, then obviously Instagram stories, you can delete them if you don't like them. Okay, before you share. So as I say, Instagram stories, that's my preferred platform, but you can do it on Facebook stories. You can go live, or you can share video content on all the platforms, on Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, LinkedIn. So have a think about what platforms you're showing up on. Okay, so behind the scenes basically means just sharing a little insight into your life, but not too much if you don't want to. Okay, so moving on, education. Now, educational content is, they call it evergreen content, because obviously if you're educating in something, it's always going to be relevant. Okay, so it's something that people can revisit, and it's always going to be relevant. Okay, so an educational post or content is something, perhaps, for example, like you're teaching someone something. So perhaps you're giving someone some tips. So for example, if you're a fitness instructor, you could be sharing a very short snippet of a workout. Okay, so that's basically what education is. Or perhaps like, for example, this workshop, I could share a very small snippet of this workshop on my social media. Yeah, so that's education. Then you've got inspiration, and this is where you can pitch to the media. Okay, with this one, with the inspiration as well. So inspiration is something like a story, an inspiring story. So it could be something from your life that you've done that's really inspiring, or perhaps in your business. Or think as well about your clients. Have your clients got an inspiring story that you could share? And perhaps you can even use that to pitch it to the media. Okay, so think of something really inspiring. And this is where your story might help you when you do that exercise, and you'll see some of the things that you've done in your life that were really inspiring. Okay. And obviously you can use that to pitch to the media. But if you are running out of ideas, and perhaps you haven't got, I'm sure you have, but if you're really stuck on ideas of your own inspiring stories, think about your clients, think about what they've done that's inspiring. And if you don't know, reach out to your clients, ask for testimonials. And I mean, I'll just go from one of my examples. One of my clients that I'm working with at the moment that never did a live video before she started working with me now does a live video every single day. Okay, she had little confidence before, and especially on camera, and now she can't put that camera down. Okay, so that for me is an inspiring story, because she's gained that confidence through working with me. So think about people that you have helped, think about people that you've inspired, and use that story, use that as your content on your social media, and use it as content to pitch to the media as well. Okay, next we have offer. Now this is your sales pitch basically. This isn't one I would advise so much that you're pitching to the media, because again, that's only to the advertising team, but this is one that you can certainly use on your social media when you are pitching and you want to sell. Okay, so this is basically your offer. What do you sell? What do you offer? What is your latest offer? So make sure you still post, obviously. you at the end of the day, you want to sell, but make this 1 in 5 posts. Okay, so it's basically whatever you're offering and selling. Then we have community, and this is one that you can also use to pitch to the media, because community is something, it could be, for example, my Facebook group. I've built my Facebook group over the last few months, and within that is a free Facebook group. I'm helping people, I'm giving them free tips, free support, free advice. Okay, and I'm building a community, I'm building a network of people where I'm offering value and help and support. Okay, so what do you offer in the form of community? And again, this can go back to the inspiring story. They can link together a little bit. So have you built a community of some kind? It might not be online. It might be, an in-person community, especially at the moment. Is there something you have done that's really inspiring and helpful? Maybe it's in your local community. Maybe your business helped people during, this last year with something, depending what business you have. I'm just trying to think, if perhaps you're a restaurant, or you've got a shop, or you helped, I don't know, have a little think about what you could use here for your story. But community is basically offering value, offering support, building a community, building a network of people, bringing people together, okay, to support and help them. So you can use this obviously for your social media posting. You can bring people into, if you've got a Facebook group, I recommend you have one, by the way, for any business. Okay, because basically a Facebook group, just quickly, I know we're not talking too much about social media here, but a Facebook group will get you a lot more traction and a lot more visibility than a page will. You've probably noticed, if you've got a page, then your likes probably aren't very high, your comments aren't very high, your engagement is just generally, unless you're paying for sponsored ads, your engagement might not be high. Okay, but if you have a group, your engagement will be 50 times more visible. Okay, and people will see you when you go live, when you record a video. People will often get a notification. Now this is because obviously Facebook's a business, and most pages are business pages. So obviously Facebook knows that, and they want you to pay for ads. Now obviously with a group, a lot of the time they can't distinguish what groups are, most groups are communities. So often they're not businesses. So this is why obviously with groups, your content's going to show up a lot more. Your posts are going to show up a lot more. Videos do a lot better than posts as well. So that's I've just dropped that in there. So if you haven't got a Facebook group already, please do go away and set one up, okay? Because you will get a lot more engagement with a group. And that's why your pages, if you are not getting much engagement at the moment, that's why it will be down, okay, because Facebook wants you to pay. Okay, so I've just spoken a little bit about social media platforms already, but I'm just going to move on to collaborations and how collaborations can really help you raise your platform and set you up as that expert again. Okay, so by collaborating with people, what you're doing is you are doubling your audience. you're sharing an audience and you're doubling an audience. Okay, so a collaboration, for example, could be something like, if you have a podcast show, inviting someone as a guest speaker onto your podcast show. Or if you've got your Facebook group, once you've set that up, guys, invite someone on to your Facebook group to do a video with you within your group, or could be on your page as well. Okay, and you can do that through using Zoom. You can record it and then feed it through to your group or your page. So just a collaboration with someone that's either in your industry or that does something that's relevant to what you do, that's interesting, that's perhaps got a shared audience. And really think hard here, make some notes on who you could collaborate with. And don't just think what you can gain from this, guys. Think about how you can help each other, because actually, if you go to someone and you just go to them basically asking them to come on because they're going to be helping you, then most people will be a bit put off by that, wouldn't they? They'd be like, well, why should I? Like, you need to think what you can offer them. So go in with that pitch first about what you're going to offer them by collaborating. Okay, and also think about people that are really influential to you in your industry. Now, you might think that it's out of reach to get them to collaborate with you, but actually, it may not be. It's like when I contacted the Hairdressers Journal with only a year's experience working in beauty, I thought they'd say no, but they said yes. So think about people that inspire you in your industry, people that you look up to, make a list of these people and reach out to them. Because again, the worst they can do is say no, okay? And then say, thank you very much then, keep my details, and if you change your mind, but that's the worst they can do, is say no. So the best thing that can happen is they're going to say yes. So think about these people. Who would you like to collaborate with? Who would really help you reach a larger audience? And obviously offer them something too. Okay, you need to think what you're going to offer them. So make a list, I'd say, of around 5 people that you would like to collaborate with, be it on a podcast. Okay, so it brings us down to the podcasting section here. So whose podcast do you listen to? Who would you really like to, you might want to feature on their show? Or if you have your own podcast, get them to feature on your show. Or as I say, it could be within your Facebook group, or it could be on an Instagram live, or it could be an in-person event such as a retreat. So do you hold retreats in your business? Do they hold retreats? Perhaps they have guest presenters in for their retreats, or perhaps they have a networking event, an in-person networking event. I know at the moment that's quite difficult because these things aren't really happening, but they will pick up and it will happen. So pitch to these people. This is all ways that you can get yourself out there to a larger audience. So if you've got a notepad and pen, please start making a list of people that you would like to reach out to collaborate with, because they've got a shared audience, or perhaps they've got a larger audience that you can obviously bring to you. Okay, but obviously, first of all, the first thing is, what can you offer them? Okay, not just what they can give you. Okay, so again, we've talked a little bit about the traditional media, so newspapers, magazines, radio, and TV. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here. So what I would do, depending what business you have, is make a list of publications that you would like to feature in. Think what you're offering, think of your service, and think about what your audience watch or read or listen to. Because obviously it's great to be featured in the media, because as I said, even if it's not your audience, then it's still that credibility. If you have on your website as featured in, and so you can share the links on your website, you can share the links on your social media. It just is that credibility. So it's still worth doing, even if it's not the right audience. But at the end of the day, as a business, we do want to sell. So you want to pick and think wisely where your audience are. So if your business is premises based, okay, so for example, if you have a beauty salon like I had, for me, it wouldn't serve a massive purpose of featuring in national media, okay, because my salon was in a tiny little town, not even a town, not even a village, actually, smaller than a village. So featuring in, for example, the Daily Mail, which is one of the main UK newspapers, wouldn't serve an awful lot of purpose, other than obviously bigging me up, which is still good, and giving me more credibility. And obviously local people would see that. But at the same time, I'm on the South Coast. So if someone in the north of England read that, they're not going to come to my salon, are they? At the end of the day, they're not going to travel 8 hours or however long it is just to come for their eyelashes with me. They might do. Probably not though. So think about this. If your business is localized and it's on a premises, think about your local media and reach out to your local media first. And it's always easier to get into the local media than it is national media. So what I would advise you do, if your premises based, your location based, then make a list of who your local newspapers are, who your local magazines are, your local radio shows and your local TV shows. And go on their websites and find the contact details of the journalists and the features editors, the producers, the presenters, and so on. Okay, and what I would like you to do is, once you've come up with your story and something interesting that you can pitch to them, okay, using your 5 methods of communication as well, then you're going to pitch to them, okay, and you're going to ask if you can feature on their show, in the publication, okay. And most of the time, you'll find that local media, they'll bite your hand off for it, because they want content and they want stories, real stories from local people. Okay, so this is where you start if you have a location-based business. Then obviously, if you think it's going to serve a purpose, then you can start pitching to national media, but definitely start with your local media. Now, whatever country you're in, you'll have some kind of local media. Okay, so if you don't know what they are, then Google it and start doing some research and finding out who they are. I would start with your newspapers, because they'll be online. Okay, even if people aren't buying the newspapers, then it will be online. So obviously then what you can do is you can share that link to your Facebook group and to your page. Okay, and obviously you can use the as featured in on your website. And then look at your radio as well. Who's on your local radio at the moment? You don't even have to probably go into the radio, like you don't even have to travel. Most of the time it's just a phone in. Okay, so also have a look at who your local radio stations are. Again, they always want experts. Okay, and this is what you are. You're an expert in what you do in your field. So pitch yourself as the expert and come across as confident. You know your stuff. And as I say, I'll go back to that example when I pitched to the Hairdresser's Journal. Okay, I'd only been doing it for a year, but I did know my stuff. You know, I was doing it day in, day out for that year. So I still knew my stuff. So you know your stuff, and believe you're the expert. And if you believe you're the expert, then obviously other people are going to believe you're the expert too. Okay, so that is the most important thing, really, is that self-belief. Okay, so don't be scared to pitch. Again, remember, the worst they can do is say no, or they won't get back to you, which happens a lot, by the way. And don't take that as rejection. If they do not reply, okay, I would wait 2 weeks. Don't hound them, because this is where you can get a bit of a bad reputation if you hound them too much. Okay, they'll see your name come up or your email come up and they'll just ignore you. So don't hound them. I would say wait a couple of weeks after pitching and then try again with the same email, because sometimes it can be that they've just missed it. And if you think, they're probably receiving an awful lot of pitches on a daily basis. So to make yourself stand out, then make sure the title and the subject in your email is interesting and obviously going to capture that attention of the journalist. Okay, so as I say, I've worked in PR, and I know that journalists will only open an email if the title is engaging enough. Okay, because they, as I say, sometimes, especially national publications, they get thousands of pictures and emails per day. So what they do is they just skim through them. They skim down, and if something's really capturing their attention, then they'll read it. Okay, so your title has to capture the attention. Okay, so think about what your title will be once you've obviously done your story exercise and you know what you're going to pitch. Then think how you can make that title really, really engaging so that they open your email. And obviously, if they open your email, chances are they will get back to you. But if they haven't, then as I say, wait a couple of weeks and try again. And if they still don't get back to you, it might be that your title was not engaging enough. So change it up a little bit, reword it, and think of something a little bit more enticing to get them to open it. Okay, so that's how you're going to pitch. So as I said, I would start with the local media if you are, I mean, actually, not even if you're a location-based business, it doesn't really matter. Even if you're a global business, your local media will want to know about you. If you're based in a certain area, okay, then it's still worth pitching to your local media as well. If you are a global business, and then you've got the whole world basically to play with, haven't you? So it's an advantage really. But it can be harder to get coverage in bigger publications. So national publications, obviously it can, as I say, it's harder. And what will happen a lot of the time is they might send you to an advertising team and ask you to basically pay for something called an advertorial. Okay. And that's not what you want. You want to do this, you want free. We want to do this for free. We don't want to be paying. So you want editorial, not advertorial. So pitching to the national media isn't as easy. So what I do with trying to gain national media publications is I'm a member of certain groups, and I'm going to go to that next, okay, and tell you where to find these opportunities. But basically, some of these national newspapers, which is exactly the same, by the way, in the UK as it is in America, in Australia, wherever in the world you are, it'll probably work the same way. Okay, so most journalists are freelance journalists for the national publications. So what you should do is be on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter already, I highly suggest that you get yourself onto Twitter. Even if you're not using Twitter as a way to promote yourself, you're just using it to find opportunities with journalists, because that is where you're going to find all these journalists. Okay. Hope everyone's still following. Let me know in the chat. But yeah, on Twitter, you'll find most contacts of journalists on there. They'll all be on there, okay? And they're freelancers, so you can tweet them. So that's a good way to pitch, basically, through a tweet if you've got something interesting. So you can start gaining some attention from them by retweeting something that they might have tweeted, or replying to a tweet that they put out, especially if it's something like if they're looking for certain like case studies, okay, you can jump on that. And often they'll put them out on Twitter before anywhere else as well. So please do sign up for Twitter. Even if you're not using that as your main platform to promote yourself, at least go onto Twitter to find the journalists, okay, for the national publications. And a lot of the journalists will use a hashtag. So please write this down if you've got a pen and paper. They'll use a hashtag, which is hashtag journo request. So it's spelled JOURNOREQUEST. So hashtag journo request. And what you can do on Twitter is in the search bar at the top, you can search that hashtag. And then what will come up is with all these journalists will use that hashtag at the end of their requests, okay? So then you'll see who these journalists are, who they work for, and you'll see what they're asking for. So it might be something that you can jump on and reply to. And yet, here I am, here's your case study, okay? And so this is how you can start building relationships with them and finding the opportunities. Twitter, okay? Please get yourself on Twitter if you're looking for these publication opportunities, because these freelance journalists are all on there, okay? So moving on to, I've covered blogging, okay? So a lot of people ask me about this. Is blogging still relevant? Yes, it is. I mean, you have to choose wisely where you're going to allocate your time, okay? Because we want to be everywhere, but realistically, we can't be everywhere because there's only 24 hours in a day, yeah? So pick the platform that your audience is going to be most sort of consistent on as well, okay? So if blogging is your thing, then blog. Now, there is a brilliant platform I used to use, because I don't blog so much now, I podcast, but there's Patreon is one, and there's also Medium. So write these down. If you don't know about these already, write them down. So Patreon and medium.com. Now, these are blogging platforms, and you can share blogs on here, and you can actually get paid as well to blog on these platforms. So you can sign up. There's no fee to sign up, but you can actually sign up to basically make money when people read your blogs. So this is actually another way of making some money, and also getting yourself out there as the expert. And the thing is with blogging, a lot of the times journalists they'll Google certain stories and case studies, and if you've blogged about something, it's going to come up. And if you've got your contact details on that blog and it's linked back to you and your website, then they can find you, and they can also see what you offer. Okay, they can see your content, they can read your content. So blogging, I would say, depending what you do and depending what your business is very, very relevant and very powerful. Okay, I don't blog as much as I probably should, due to time, and also the fact that I prefer podcasting at the moment as my way of communication and raising my visibility. But blogging is certainly one to consider. I think, who was it that said, Rachel, I think perhaps this would be really relevant for you, is starting a blog. Okay, that could be a really powerful way of raising your profile. So have a look, as I say, Patreon and Medium. There's hundreds of others as well. I mean, you can have your own blog on your website too, but those are two platforms that you can actually get paid on. Okay, obviously there's YouTube as well. You can vlog, so video blog. Again, YouTube. This is one, again, I get asked about, because it's been around a long time and people are kind of looking more at like the new apps such as TikTok and so on. But actually YouTube, the content on YouTube stays and it's evergreen. So if you think about it, on social media, when you share a post, then often it disappears. Okay, the post is there for about 24 hours. I know it's not like a story where it disappears completely, but your post won't show up in the feed after 24 hours. Whereas on YouTube, if you search for something, okay, it doesn't matter how many years it's been on there, it will still come up if someone's searching for something relevant to that. And you can obviously use the hashtags in YouTube as well, so it's evergreen. So YouTube is one to certainly not overlook. And obviously if the vlogging is for you, then try YouTube, because that is bound to get you traction and bound to get you out there more. Okay, so hopefully it's not too overwhelming, but have a look and just, I would say, play around with all the different platforms. Find out which one serves you best, which one you feel you get on with best, and you'll start to know, once you start to bring an audience, which one's working well for you. As I say, for me, mine's been Instagram really. It's the place where I tend to get more interaction, as well as my Facebook group. But a lot of people come to my Facebook group through Instagram, through my stories. So play around with it, see what works for you. Try it all. Okay, obviously you can't do it all, but try it all and see what works and stick with what works. Podcasting. Now, I've spoken about podcasts with the collaborations, about trying to perhaps look at collaborating and speaking on someone's podcast. Now, I started my own podcast about 2 years ago now. And to begin with, I have to admit, I got quite disheartened because I wasn't gaining any sort of new listeners. I wasn't getting many downloads, but obviously it was a new podcast. Okay. And I've spoken to so many people that had started a podcast and then they stopped because the same thing was happening. But then it suddenly started to build. Okay, the more episodes I started to put out there on a weekly basis, the more listeners came and the more it started to grow and grow and grow. Now, if you're interested in podcasting, then obviously pop over to my group, Jumping Through Hoops, on Facebook, because I can talk a little bit more in depth about podcasting. I might actually do a separate workshop on that because there's so much to speak about. But I actually use a free app to record my podcast. I use Anchor FM, and all I do actually when I'm recording a solo show is I use my phone and I just speak into my phone and it records it, and it's completely free. But if I'm collaborating with someone, I'm interviewing someone on my podcast, I'll just simply use Zoom. And what I'll do with that is, once it's recorded, as I will upload the audio to Anchor and I will then upload the video to YouTube. Okay, so I've shared that content across 2 platforms. So if podcasting is something you want to think about, definitely have a little look at Anchor FM, because it's free. And then obviously if your podcast starts building, you can look at other platforms. But the thing with Anchor is that it distributes everywhere. It distributes straight to iTunes, to Spotify, Podbean, I believe, and most other podcasting platforms. Okay, so it's going to come up in iTunes. So have a go at podcasting. Let me know actually if you've got a podcast. Anyone in the chat, let me know if you've got any questions as well. I know I've been talking now for a while, so let me know if you're listening. And if you have any questions for me so far, I'll take some questions in a minute. Let me carry on for a bit more. Okay. Networking, I've kind of discussed a little bit with the collaboration thing, and with obviously, if you, at the moment it's quite difficult networking in person because there aren't many in-person networking events, and if there are, they're obviously all limited. But when and if things go back to how they were, and if you're in your local area, you've got a networking group that you could go to, then I would certainly suggest trying it out. I've been to a few in the past, and some were okay. Some weren't really, they weren't overly helpful, but some honestly were really helpful. And I'll use an example. I went to a networking event about 5 years ago now, and it was run by the Arts Council, and that was in Portsmouth, which is a town near where I live. And I mean, to be honest, it wasn't something that I thought would be relevant to me. I went to this networking event. They were all artists. I was a hula hooper, okay, which is kind of an art in itself. But these people were all painters and artists, and I wasn't sure how this event was going to be relevant. But actually, what happened is I got speaking to a lady who was a mentor, and had I not started speaking to her, I would not have found out about a mentoring program that I could apply for. And so she's told me about this mentoring program, which was a free program that I could apply for. And if after 3 months, they thought I needed funding for my business, then I could apply for funding. And what happened from that networking event, that one networking event alone, is this lady who was a mentor came to me twice a month and gave me free mentoring. Okay. And I learned so much from her. And as it was in the end, actually, I didn't need the funding, but I could have got access to funding. I could have found the funding if I'd needed it. But what I did get was obviously all that mentoring, which was free. And that was just from one networking event alone, which I didn't think would be relevant to me and my business. Okay. Because I didn't. That's what I didn't think. But this goes back to opportunity, and you just don't know. You don't know what opportunity will come your way. Okay, so have a think about networking events as and when they happen again, and go along to one, try it, see what it's like. You might not think it's relevant for your business, but you don't know what else might happen. You don't know what door might open for you by attending. Okay, and obviously online as well, online networking, there are so many groups now, especially on Facebook now. There's one I'm on, I'm not sure if any of you are on this group. You might be, this might be how you found out about my workshop, but the Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs group on Facebook, I think it has about 440,000 members in it from around the world, and it's a free group. By the way, I'm not an affiliate with them or anything like that, so I'm not selling. But it's a free group, and there's so many people in there that have so many different businesses. Okay, there's opportunities in there to collaborate with people. There's always people saying, would anyone like to speak on my event? Would anyone like to speak on my podcast? Would anyone like to collaborate? If you're looking also for virtual assistants, you're looking for someone that can perhaps do your website, you're looking for someone that can do something, you can skill share as well. So look for different Facebook groups, networking groups and if you're a local business, look for local business networks as well. There's so much power in networking. Okay, so actually networking probably should be your number one thing, because this is how people are also going to get to know about you, is through that networking, and people will start talking about you, and again, you'll be at the forefront of their mind when perhaps they need your service. Okay, so networking, very, very powerful. So make a list of networking events that perhaps you can attend in person, and also go onto Facebook, LinkedIn as well, and see what networking groups that you can join, okay, which you will undoubtedly find opportunity through. Okay, so definitely do that and make that probably top of your to-do list. So moving on, we've got write a book. Okay, you might not be ready to write a book yet, but okay, an ebook could be something and a way of getting your expertise out there. So this brings me on to, I haven't actually included it in this workshop tonight because I could be here forever talking about this otherwise, but having an email list is paramount for any business, as I'm sure you all know. And a way to get people onto your email list is to provide or give away something valuable for free. Okay, so perhaps you could write an ebook to get people onto your email list, to start building that community and start getting to people to know, love and trust you. Okay, so think about what you could give away for free initially. Okay, actually you could, if you've got enough content, you can sell an ebook as well, and actually can make an awful lot of money through selling ebooks. You don't have to write a whole novel. So if there's something you can write about, have a think about that. Maybe write some ideas down. Obviously this is quite overwhelming, there's a lot here, but think about this, and if you can put something together as a free giveaway to get people onto your email list, and also to establish yourself as that expert, okay, an ebook relevant to something that you do in your business. But let me know if you have any questions on that. Competitions, just moving on here. So have a look and see what industry related competitions there are about. So let's think for an example. Yeah, so when I worked as a beauty therapist, I, again, I'd not been doing it very long, but I entered the Hair and Beauty Awards. This was in 2012, 2013 and 2014, I think. I entered 3 years in a row. And again, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, you don't win. The best thing that can happen is you do win. And I actually won runner-up 2 years in a row, and then I won Beauty Therapist of the Year in the 3rd year. And obviously what that does is, again, it gives you that credibility, and you know, you get to put that title behind your name, award-winning, whatever it might be. So for me, award-winning beauty therapist. I entered awards later on with my fitness business as well. So now obviously I can call myself, and without feeling like you're bragging as well, guys, don't feel like you're bigging yourself up too much and bragging too much, because you have to, don't you? You have to make that noise. So calling yourself an award-winning business owner is going to set you apart from someone who's a business owner, not an award-winning business owner. Okay, so have a look, Google, and find out what awards, what there are, what's on offer. Basically, there's all sorts of competitions. Actually brings me back to this year. I ran the online World Hula Hoop Championships, actually, because last year I did an in-person event for the UK Hula Hoop Championships, and obviously this year couldn't do an in-person event. So I thought, why not just do a global one, because people can enter online. So actually, perhaps if you want to go that far and set up your own competition, set up a competition, okay? And what that did for me within the fitness, dance and hula hoop industry, or entertainment industry, I should say, set me up as this expert, okay, in hula hooping, because I'd run this global competition, okay, even if it was, you know, I almost did it on a whim. I did do it professionally, I did do it properly, but I had people from across the globe applying for it. My followers went up on Instagram. People started buying hula hoops from me. People started buying my training courses because I was hosting the World Hula Hoop Championships. I mean, as I say, you might not want to go as far as to host a whole event or a competition, but have a look and see what you could enter, because there will be something in your industry, okay? And don't think you're not good enough. And this is where imposter syndrome can set in, and people think that there's, you know, who am I to do this? Who am I to enter that? You're good enough, okay? You are an expert in what you do. You've got to believe that. So definitely have a look at what competitions are on offer and start entering. And I'm just going to move on. I'm going to stop talking soon and let you guys ask some questions. So offer and apply to speak at events as well. Again, at the moment, obviously it's quite hard because in-person events aren't really happening, but this is the surest way to set you up as that expert. Now, I've spoken at a few events locally and globally, okay, and this year I was about to, it all got cancelled obviously, but I was about to speak at the Excel in London at it was the world's biggest dance and fitness event called Move It, and I was invited to speak all about media and about how to obviously promote your dance, fitness, or entertainment business. And that for me would have been the most amazing opportunity. And it will still be, because it will happen, even if it's online, which they're talking about doing now. But this is the thing, a lot of these events have gone online. So have a look and see what you can apply to speak at, okay, about your expertise. And even if speaking is daunting, it's always going to be daunting. And I have to say now, me speaking to you here, because I can't see your faces, I'm just looking at my laptop and the camera speaking, and it feels daunting. I'm not going to lie to you. I started this feeling quite nervous, and actually nerves are always good. And I think even if you've been doing it for years and speaking on stage for years, you'll still get nervous, and nerves are good. But don't be too scared to try, okay? There's a first time for everything. So put yourself out there and pitch and offer to speak at some events on your expertise, okay? On your niche and on what you can basically give people. So again, make notes, make sure you're making notes on all of this, because it is quite a lot of information. But definitely look at what events you can speak at, even if they're online as well. There's a lot of online events at the moment. So have a look in your industry and see what's happening and that you can pitch to, okay, and offer your services. And most importantly, show up and be consistent. All right, it's all about showing up, and showing up daily if you can. As I say, for me, I use Instagram stories, but I only do 5 minutes a day of it, okay? But it's still consistent, and I'm still showing up, because what will happen if you show up perhaps in a post or a video once, and then you're not there for a couple of weeks, people will forget about you, okay? And the same with the media. If you pitch to the media and you manage to get a feature, and then you don't pitch again for another year or so, again, people will forget after a bit of time, won't they? So you have to keep it consistent, and you have to just keep on and on and on, okay? And this is the surest way as well that people are going to get to know about you. So be consistent, and when you're consistent, the only option really is success, isn't it? So keep at it. And I do have a free 30-day media challenge, which you're very welcome to download. It's free, as I say, and that is on my website, which if you want to make a note there, it's jumpingthroughhoopswithhannah.com. And if you go to the tab at the top, there'll be an option for freebies, and on there you can download your free 30-day media challenge. And basically everything I've been talking about tonight should be on there, and it's kind of set up in a little challenge. So you do a little task every day for 30 days, okay? It's quite fun, so give it a go. And I'm just going to move on. I've spoken about a bit of this already, about the 5 publications and shows that you'd like to appear on. Definitely write them down and start visioning it in your mind, and start seeing yourself in these publications, okay? For me, I've got this goal. I would love, I don't watch much telly, to be honest, anymore, but I used to watch Loose Women, which is a show in the UK. It's like a lunchtime show of, to be honest, it's it's quite cringy, but at times it's quite interesting. So it's a group of women on a panel, and they're all debating different topics, and they have guest speakers on there sometimes, and I'm like, I'd love to go on Loose Women and start a debate. I really would. I'd love to go on there and talk about something. So for me, I won't show you here and move my laptop around, but I've got a vision board, and on my vision board is Loose Women, because that's where I see myself speaking and appearing on. So really picture it in your mind where you want to speak, or where you want to appear, or be seen. And the more you think about it, the more likely it is that it's going to become your reality. So, I mean, this is a completely different topic, but manifesting, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. And I have a free vision board template as well on my website, which you can download, and you can stick the pictures of the publications, the TV shows and magazines and so on that you want to appear in on your vision board, like I do. It's very powerful, honestly. That's a whole different workshop on a different topic for another day, but it's very, very powerful. And just recapping here, go away and research the contact details for the publications in which you want to appear in. Remember Twitter, as I say. If you're struggling to find contact details on the websites for the journalists, then go to Twitter, and on there you should find, if you search in the search bar, either the publication or that hashtag journal request, then you'll see a whole bunch of journalists come up. Okay, so make notes, tweet them, reach out to them, DM them, send them a private message, or find their email. Okay, find a way to reach out without being annoying. As I say, just one pitch first, then wait 2 weeks, pitch again. Okay. And we've spoken about the local media, but I also have a press release template on my website. So I've got lots of freebies on there, guys. Go to there and obviously use them. But a press release. So I haven't really spoken too much about a press release. Now, a press release will help you if you're pitching to national media. A lot of the time, the national media might ask you for a press release. Most often, the local media would prefer, as I've written here, a more informal and friendly email. Okay, a press release is a very formal way of contacting a journalist, but some will ask you for a press release. So it's good to know what a press release looks like, and it's good to have a little practice at writing them as well. Okay, so it's basically an email pitch, but if you go to my guide, you'll see just how you can lay it all out, and obviously write your title with your contact details and so on there. But I would say, for me, I've never used a press release for myself. I've used it for clients, but I've never actually used a press release for myself. And actually, it served me quite well by not using them. I've always gone for the more informal and friendly approach. And that's how, as a PR expert, I've actually built relationships with journalists, because what's happened is where I've gone in with that friendly and more human approach, I suppose, is they've remembered me, and then actually they've come back to me when they've needed a story. It's something that they know I can offer. So this is the thing, if you can start to build a relationship with these journalists by being helpful, if you see that they're calling out for a case study that you can offer your help with, then they're going to remember you, okay, because you helped them, and then they're going to remember you again and again and again. And this is how you build that relationship. Okay, so obviously you're building that relationship with the journalist, you're getting them on side, because you can help each other. They want your stories, especially the freelance journalists are that they don't get paid unless their stories get published. Okay, so obviously they want good juicy stories at the end of the day. So you can help them by providing that for them. Okay, then they're going to remember you and they're going to help you in the future. Okay, you're helping each other here. So think about that. So as I say, it's worth downloading the press release just so you can see how it's all laid out, because you may get asked for it. You may pitch and they might say, okay, please send us a press release. Then you've got that template and you can use that. Okay, but to begin with, I would say always go in with a more informal and friendly email. Okay, and I'm going to wrap it up in just a moment and take any questions that you've got. So make sure you're using your expertise and story to sell yourself. Okay, and obviously stay authentic and human. People will see through you if you're not authentic. You can always tell, can't you? You know what I'm saying. You can always tell if someone's not being real and they're not being true to themselves. So always be authentic. Okay, there's that saying, authenticity sells. Okay, and people buy from people. And just remember that. And obviously you're all business owners, obviously watching this, or you're budding business owners. You are your business. Okay, you are the face of your brand, you are your business, and ultimately you are what's going to sell. So just a little bit of useful information here for you. So again, please make notes here because this is quite important information. So you can sign up to a website. It's called journorequests.com. Hopefully you can all see that on the screen. So journorequests.com. So on here, what you can do is, obviously I said on Twitter, you can follow that hashtag journorequest, okay? But with journorequests.com, it saves you actually having to go on Twitter and search for them all, because what happens is if you sign up with your email address, they will send you all the roundup of the daily requests that have been sent out from journalists. So all you then do is you'll get them in your inbox and you can just quickly skim through them to see if anything's relevant to you that you can pitch, okay? So journorequests.com, sign up with your email and you'll get those daily emails to your inbox. And this is where I found so many media opportunities for both me and clients in the past, okay? Definitely sign up to this, guys, okay? If you want those media opportunities, you need to be on there. And it saves time because you just get them in your inbox. It's quite interesting, as I say, to go on Twitter, definitely be on Twitter, because that's how you can find journalists and talk to them. But journorequests.com will just mean that you'll get everything into your inbox and it saves time. Okay, so a couple of these are only relevant for the UK, but so the Feature Me, actually saying that, it's worth being on there even if you're not in the UK. Now, there is a group on Facebook and it's called Feature Me UK. Okay, so if you're in the UK, definitely join that. Even if you're not in the UK, I would still go on there because they still want case studies of various stories that you can obviously jump on. So this group, Feature Me, is a group of UK journalists who are freelancers and they're always putting out requests for stories, okay? And actually, a lot of the time, they're paid stories. So it's another way of making some money. So be on there and just keep an eye on it, because a lot of the time they either want stories like life stories, personal stories, but a lot of the time it's business stories, okay? And this is where you can use your past stories and your chapters of your life to sell yourself here. Because actually, I'm just going to use an example again. I was featured in a magazine last year, so it was Bella magazine, and it was talking about, it was quite random again, it's nothing to do with my current business, it was about my opinion on people drinking alcohol on planes, okay? Because I used to be cabin crew, so that's a chapter in my story, okay? But it's not my chapter now. However, it still happened and it's still information that I was able to give them because they wanted somebody who had worked previously or currently on an aeroplane, and they wanted their opinion on passengers drinking alcohol on an aeroplane. And you might be thinking, how on earth does that relate to coaching people in media and business? It doesn't. But what they did is they had a picture of me. I got paid £300 and they mentioned what I do for my business now, and they had a link to my website, okay? And guess what? Just from that feature alone, because it was in a national magazine, I had, I mean, I didn't count, but it must have been around 50 visits to my website just from that feature alone, and people emailing me asking me about what I offered. I had people buying hula hoops from me because I think at the time it wasn't actually my coaching business I was advertising, it was my fitness business, okay? People buying online programs for me because they'd seen this little article in this magazine which had nothing to do with hula hooping, but it mentioned me and it mentioned my business, so obviously still sold my business and it sold me, okay, even if it wasn't relevant. So this is why you need to think outside of the box. Don't always think, okay, even though, yes, you want to make sales, you want to obviously get people to know about you and your business now, but this is why all your past stories will be relevant, because when you join groups such as the Feature Me group on Facebook, or the one below here, if you can make a note here on this one, because this is a global one, which is the Lightbulb Entrepreneur and Press Hangout group. This is a paid group. It's £5, which is around, I think it's about $7 a month, okay, which actually isn't very much, because you will get a lot from this group. And this is where you will get a lot of people, journalists mainly, producers from TV shows. You've got features writers from Huffington Post on there, you've got Forbes magazine, all sorts of people on this group, which is the Lightbulb one, that are always asking for stories, okay? So definitely be on there, because this is how you can find your opportunities. and think outside the box. As I say, don't just think of what you're offering now, because that's going to limit you and that's going to be difficult. If you can think of all the things that you've done and anything, any angle that you can come in at to pitch on these stories as a hook, you will get yourself known. Okay. Obviously, you pick and choose wisely at what you're pitching for, but it's all going to help you. Okay, especially if they're mentioning your business, especially if they're sharing a picture of you. Just one more example before we wrap it up. I was in the Daily Mail, which is, again, it's the one of the main national papers for the UK, back in May. And I was just talking basically about the furlough scheme and basically the decision that they've made on self-employment and what people would receive in the way of help for, obviously, businesses that weren't able to operate. So I kind of gave my opinion in the paper, which, again, I suppose it's relevant in a way to my business, but not wholly relevant. I wasn't talking about coaching, I wasn't talking about marketing or media, I was just giving an opinion. Okay. There was a massive picture of me, massive link to my website. Okay, win-win, really. So think outside the box, and ultimately, do not be afraid to big yourself up. Okay. And now, I had this issue in the very beginning. I felt embarrassed and I felt like I was bragging, and people did make comments sometimes. And you'll probably find, as a business owner, you get those comments. Not everyone's going to be supportive of you. Not everyone's going to want to see you do well. A lot of the time, people are jealous, or they don't understand what you do. That's all there is to it. But ultimately, you're doing this for you, okay, and your family. You're doing it, but you, at the end of the day, you're doing it for you, aren't you? So don't be afraid to big yourself up. Okay, they'll always have an opinion anyway. And this is the thing, this is what holds a lot of people back from being more visible, is they're worried about what people are thinking, they're worried about being judged. And what I tell people is that's going to happen anyway, whether you decide to put yourself out there in the media or not. Okay, I've had it every time I've shared something on social media, I'd get someone saying, why did you share that? You've probably had that too. And then a lot of the time I see it with friends, they'd share something and someone would make a comment, they'd get upset, and then they delete that post that they'd shared because someone had said something. Now, if we all live like that, we're never going to really achieve anything, are we? So big yourself up. Okay, you owe it to yourself, and actually you're in it for you at the end of the day. So don't be scared. And just remember also, there's only one of you. Even if you think you can't do something because someone else has done it, they're not you, are they? And no two businesses are exactly the same. No two people are exactly the same. So believe you can, and you are. Well, I put here, you're halfway there, but actually, I think if you believe you can, then you're all the way there. So don't be scared, guys, and really, honestly, good luck with everything. And I'm going to take some questions in a minute, but before I do, I'm just going to tell you a little bit quickly. And this is my little pitch, by the way. Just to let you know, I run a 6-week group coaching program, and it starts again on Monday next week, and you can apply if you want to via my website. I won't speak too much about it because you can go and look on my website for all the information. But basically, it's a 6-week program, and I take you through 3 modules. Okay, and the first one is mindset, and we basically look at tackling all those mindset blocks, which mostly, actually, for most people, is on this whole visibility thing. And then we go more in depth on business and branding, and then we finish up with the media and marketing. And actually, I give you more one-on-one help with pitching to the media. So I help you actually find the publications, and I help you write the pitches, and I help you get those press releases or emails out to the relevant journalists. So if you are interested, then you can always DM me, you can always message me on Facebook, you can email me, or we can jump on a call as well. I'm happy to give you a free 20-minute call where we can just dive in and find out a bit more about what you need in the way of support. And I do also offer one-on-one coaching, and that's all available to look at on my website. So if you want to find out more information, as I say, just pop over to jumpingthroughhoopswithhannah.com, and don't forget all the freebies that are on there as well. So I'm going to wrap it up there and just take some questions. If anyone's got any, I'm just going to stop my screen share and bring you all back in. So let me know if you're still listening. Everyone's on mute. And I know some people are watching this on replay, but guys, in the chat box there, oh yeah, Rachel said, Sarah needs to go, thank you. Terry says, thank you, Hannah. Please keep us posted with any upcoming opportunities you have or how we might best support you in your business on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn in the USA. Okay, interesting. Thank you. And you're also listening. Okay. Sarah's also got a podcast, Geordie Lass and Doc Sass. I'll give that a listen. Elizabeth from Los Angeles. And Rachel, thank you. So many things to think about. Yes, there is a lot of information. So yeah, lots and lots of information, but it's going to be available on replay. So what I will do is I will send the link to the replay to everyone's email address, okay, so that you can always watch this back. If you didn't manage to take all the notes you need to make, then obviously you can watch it again on the replay. And if you are watching this at a later date, guys, don't forget to pop over to my group, okay? I will also share the link to that group in the email I send you with the replay link, okay? Okay, pretty much on time, which is strange for me because I always either overrun or, well, there isn't actually, I overrun mostly. Something I'm working on, my time management. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me this evening, and I hope that's been really helpful. Terry says, thank you, smashing job. Oh, thank you very much, guys. It was lovely to connect with you all. Let me know, as I say, join me over on my Facebook group. I would love to network more with you guys and see if perhaps, you know, especially if someone else has got a podcast, maybe we can collaborate as well. Sarah says she's got a podcast there. Yeah, I'm going to go and look at that in a minute. But yeah, I'd love to find out more about you, Rachel. Amazing what you're doing. I'm really interested in finding out more actually about what you're up to. And if you fancy speaking on my podcast show, actually, I'd be really interested in interviewing you. So let me know. Right, guys, have a great evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. All right, catch you soon, guys. Bye.